Tara was just 5 when she first arrived at Elaine's house, clutching a small pink backpack that was almost as big as she was. She'd been through foster homes before, each one feeling temporary, like a borrowed book you had to return to, soon. But with Elaine, something felt different from the start. Elaine, a woman in her early 40s with soft gray eyes and short wavy hair, greeted Tara at the doorstep with a warm smile and a gentle voice. She knelt down so they were eye to eye, said welcome home, and offered Tara a homemade cookie still warm from the oven. In that moment, Tara's small chest tightened, not from fear, but from the tiniest spark of something she didn't yet recognize as belonging. Over the next few days, Elaine didn't push Tara to do anything she didn't want to. When Tara wandered into the living room clutching a worn teddy bear, Elaine simply sat on the floor beside her. She didn't bombard her with questions about her favorite color or her favorite game. Instead, she started making breakfast every morning. A bowl of cereal, a glass of juice, and a plate of fresh fruit. She left it on the small kitchen table and let Tara eat at her own pace. If Tara ate only half a banana, Elaine didn't comment. She simply placed the other half in a container and put it in the fridge, as if planning out snacks for the next day. Tara was shy. She barely spoke in those early weeks, choosing to observe everything around her. She noticed how Elaine folded laundry with precise, gentle movements, how she arranged books on the shelf by height rather than by title, and how she always left a small vase of fresh flowers on the coffee table. Sometimes the flowers were daisies, sometimes sunflowers, but they always looked as if they'd been picked from a sunny garden. Tara found herself watching Elaine, memorizing the way sunlight filtered through the curtains every morning, and how Elaine's smile softened when she looked at Tara. Elaine, meanwhile, seemed to accept Tara without question. She didn't ask for paperwork or labels. She never brought up Tara's past or who her birth parents might have been. She simply created routines. Breakfast at 8, a short walk to the park at 4, and bedtime stories at 8:30. Elaine read fairy tales and adventure stories, but she always paused halfway through to let Tara ask questions or imagine alternative endings. Sometimes Tara would draw pictures of a dragon rescuing a princess, or two friends sharing an adventure, and Elaine would ask her to describe every color and every detail as if those colors mattered. One afternoon, Tara got a small scrape on her knee when she tripped over her shoelace. Elaine scooped her into her arms and carried her to the bathroom, cleaned the scrape carefully, and found a favorite cartoon bandage in her medicine cabinet. She placed it on Tara's knee with such tenderness that Tara almost forgot it hurt. After that episode, Tara noticed something else. Elaine never hesitated when it came to Tara's physical well-being. When the scrape appeared red a day later, Elaine sat with Tara in the back seat of the car and drove to a clinic so they could have a doctor double-check it, just in case. Elaine held Tara's hand the whole time, talking softly about what they would do after the visit, whether it was stopping for ice cream or reading another story. For Tara, those small acts began to stitch a sense of safety around her broken edges. At night, she sometimes reached over to find Elaine's hand, and Elaine never pulled away. Over the course of those weeks, Tara realized that this house, with its quiet routines and small gestures, was slowly becoming something she could call home. And Elaine, with her unwavering acceptance and gentle care, was becoming more than a stranger. She was becoming Tara's mom in every way that mattered. Tara shivered in Elaine's arms as the afternoon sun dipped behind the houses. The fever had started earlier that day with a faint tickle at her forehead, and by mid-afternoon, her small body felt heavy and hot to the touch. Elaine noticed right away. Tara's cheeks were flushed, and each breath sounded more labored than usual. Without hesitating, Elaine scooped Tara up, whispering, "Let's get you checked," though Tara barely had the energy to nod. Once inside the car, Elaine placed Tara gently on the back seat and buckled her in with care. She didn't rush or panic, but her focus was unwavering. She turned the key, started the engine, and navigated the quiet streets toward the clinic they'd visited before. As they drove, Elaine stroked Tara's hair, softly humming a lullaby that Tara had heard on calmer days. Tara's eyelids fluttered. As the car rocked, and though she felt scared, she also felt secure, wrapped in Elaine's steady presence. At the clinic's small waiting room, Elaine checked Tara's temperature again. The digital thermometer read over 103 degrees. Elaine's lips pressed together, but her expression remained calm. She carried Tara inside and explained the situation to the nurse, her voice measured. Tara sat on her lap, clutching a well-worn teddy bear, and Elaine held Tara's hand while the nurse checked her vitals. Every time Tara winced at a probe or answered tiredly, Elaine squeezed her hand as if to say, "I'm right here." The doctor arrived within minutes. He knelt beside Tara's chair and gently examined her throat, listened to her chest, and asked Tara short questions. "Do you feel dizzy?" to gauge her alertness. Tara's voice came out as a faint whisper, but Elaine answered for her when necessary. "She said she feels a bit dizzy, doctor, but she's been drinking water and resting." The doctor nodded and recommended a mild fever reducer and extra fluids, but he also insisted on observing Tara for a while, just to rule out any infection. Elaine agreed without question. During the observation, Elaine kept Tara snug in blankets, adjusting pillows behind her head, and offered sips of cool water. Tara tried to focus on Elaine's gentle smile, the way her thumb brushed Tara's arm and the soft hum of voices in the background. Elaine whispered half-jokes about how the clinic thought Tara was starring in a drama with all the beeping machines. Tara managed a small laugh between coughs. In that moment, fear transformed into a cautious relief. Her mother figure was here, refusing to leave her side. An hour later, the doctor determined it was likely a simple viral infection. He recommended rest, prescribed medication, and outlined clear instructions for the next few days. Check for any change in symptoms, keep Tara hydrated, and come back if the fever spiked higher. Elaine thanked him, gathered the prescription, and carried Tara back to the car. She repeated the doctor's advice in soft whispers as she buckled Tara in. Tara, exhausted, nodded slightly and closed her eyes. Back at home, Elaine prepared a bowl of light soup, cooled to just the right temperature, and brought it to Tara on a small tray. Tara sipped slowly, noticing how Elaine arranged the couch pillows to keep her comfortable. Elaine stayed nearby, reading quietly so she could respond if Tara needed anything during the night. Tara drifted in and out of sleep, each time finding Elaine's hand when she stirred or had a nightmare about being alone. In those long hours, Tara felt something shift inside her. The fear of falling ill couldn't compete with the overwhelming sense of safety Elaine provided. Every dip of Tara's temperature and every sip of her soup was guided by Elaine's unwavering attention. By the next morning, when Tara's fever had dropped to a more manageable level, she woke to find Elaine softly humming a different lullaby. For Tara, that song was more than comfort. It was proof that even when her small body felt broken, Elaine would be there, navigating each scare, as if it were her own, holding her hand through every fever, every test, every uncertain moment. Tara returned to school after her latest checkup feeling oddly both proud and puzzled. When she walked into the cafeteria that morning, the buzz of conversation seemed louder than usual. Trays clattered, kids laughed, and teachers circulated, but Tara's mind was elsewhere. She'd just spent the entire weekend recovering from a stomach bug with Elaine insisting on extra rest and another follow-up call to the doctor. Tara realized that her life felt different from her classmates. As Tara sat with her friends, she looked around. Jason's father had dropped him off and waved goodbye before heading back to work. Jason shrugged at Tara, oblivious to her gaze. Across the table, Maya opened her lunchbox and sighed. "My mom's stuck in traffic," Maya complained. "I bet she won't even make it to my recital this afternoon." Tara nodded but didn't speak. Soon the lunch bell rang, and they all headed to their next class. Later that day, during math, Tara's stomach twinged faintly. She raised her hand and asked to be excused to visit the nurse's office. Mrs. Elliot, their teacher, gave a nod, and Tara gathered her things. As she passed by the classmates' desks, she overheard bits of conversation. "I hate going to the nurse alone," one girl whispered. "My dad never comes," another added. Tara's chest tightened. She wondered how it felt to be escorted by teachers or to sit in the nurse's office with only a clipboard and a routine check. At the nurse's station, Miss Harper smiled as she took Tara's temperature. "You've been here a lot lately," Miss Harper remarked as the thermometer beeped. "You feeling better?" Tara offered a small smile and said quietly, "Yes." Miss Harper handed Tara a glass of water and told her to rest until the bell rang. Tara settled on the cot and reached for her phone, scrolling through messages from Elaine. How was the nurse visit? Did she need anything? Tara felt her throat tighten with warmth. Elaine cared enough to check in more than once, and that still surprised her. When the bell rang, Tara walked back to class and found Elaine waiting in the parking lot. Elaine never missed these moments, even if it was just a quick drop-off before school started. Tara hopped into the passenger seat and Elaine greeted her with a gentle, "How's my brave girl?" Tara shrugged, trying to seem nonchalant. Inside, Tara felt curious. "Mom," she began, "do all parents come to everything, like every nurse visit or every doctor call?" Elaine paused at a red light before answering softly. "Tara, I just believe it's important to be there for you. Why do you ask?" Tara took a breath. "Some kids' parents don't come. Sometimes they have someone else, like a neighbor or a teacher. Sometimes nobody. I've seen it." Elaine nodded, eyes focused on the road. Everyone has different circumstances. Some parents have jobs that don't let them leave, or maybe they live far away. But to me, being here is part of being your mom. Tara glanced down at her lap, absorbing the words. "So, you think this is just what moms should do?" Elaine reached over and squeezed Tara's hand. "I do. It's not about obligation. It's about love. And I love you enough to show up, even when it's inconvenient." As they drove home, Tara reflected on Elaine's answer. She realized that the simple act of riding in the car, holding hands and asking about her day mattered more than she'd first understood. By the time they reached their street, Tara felt a quiet confidence settle inside her. She had someone who didn't hesitate, someone who chose her every single time. And though not every mom or parent could do that, Elaine's presence became a silent promise that Tara would never face her fears alone. Tara shuffled into the hallway after seventh period advisory, her backpack slipping off one shoulder as she hurried to her locker. It was the end of the 8th grade year, and chatter about summer plans buzzed through the air. As she reached her locker, she spotted Keisha leaning against the wall, twirling a pencil between her fingers. Keisha was the kind of friend who noticed every detail. New shoes, a different hairstyle, or, in Tara's case, anything that hinted at something unsaid. Keisha offered Tara a quick smile. "Hey, ready for the panel tonight?" she asked, nodding toward the bulletin board where a poster advertised a school discussion on identity. Tara swallowed, gripping the strap of her backpack. She'd agreed to join the panel last minute, uncertain about speaking in front of the whole auditorium. The topic was what makes family, and it felt too close to home, literally. Tara took a breath and forced a grin. "Yeah, I'll be there," she said, trying to sound casual. That evening, Tara sat in the front row of the auditorium, knees bouncing under her skirt. The panelists introduced themselves one by one. Some spoke of siblings living out of state, others mentioned grandparents raising them. When it was Tara's turn, the moderator asked her directly, "Tara, who do you consider family?" The room seemed to hush, and Tara's heart hammered in her chest. She thought of Elaine, waiting at home, always ready to pick up prescriptions, or drive her to doctor appointments. Without thinking, words tumbled out. "My mom," she said, voice barely above a whisper. For a heartbeat, silence rippled across the stage. Tara's cheeks flushed as she realized her slip. Elaine was not her birth mother. Keisha's eyes widened from the audience, recognition in her gaze. Tara blinked, wanting to disappear. The moderator, unsure, gave Tara a gentle nod. "Tell us more," she prompted. Tara closed her eyes for a moment, recalling late-night conversations with Elaine, half-whispered memories of past foster homes, and the quiet promise Elaine made. "You are my daughter now." She took a breath and leaned forward. "Elaine has been there for me every time I've needed her. She drives me to appointments, checks on me when I'm sick, and never lets me face anything alone. I call her Mom because that's what she is to me." As she spoke, the initial tension in the room eased. Some students nodded, understanding that family could be chosen, not just given by blood. Tara felt Keisha's supportive presence, but her voice wavered until she found the words. "We might not share DNA," she said, "but she's the one who shows up. That's what moms do." The audience applauded softly, and Tara realized her accidental admission was not a betrayal. It was truth. After the panel, Keisha grabbed Tara's arm as they exited. "You were brave," Keisha whispered. Tara managed a small smile. "I panicked," she admitted, "but it felt right." Later, as Tara walked home, her phone buzzed with a text from Elaine. "How did it go?" Tara stared at the message, her breath catching. She typed back, "I said it. I called you Mom." And then she added, "Thank you for always showing up." The words felt weightless on the screen but carried the weight of everything they shared. Each appointment, each drive, each simple moment that wove them into a family. Tara stepped into Lincoln High's bustling hallway on the first day of 10th grade, her sneakers squeaking against the polished floor. The lockers on either side were plastered with bright flyers, club sign-ups, sports tryouts, Spirit Week, details, each one vying for attention. But Tara's mind was focused elsewhere. She had a plan, one that would change how people saw her story. No longer just the quiet girl who showed up with Elaine, she was ready to speak out. In her English class, Mr. Donovan assigned a project. Students had to research a social issue and present their findings to the class. While others groaned and scrambled to find easy topics, Tara sat forward in her seat. When the opportunity arose, she proposed a presentation on racial identity and adoption, drawing from her life with Elaine. Mr. Donovan raised an eyebrow but nodded. He trusted Tara's diligence. After all, last semester she had turned in a moving essay about belonging that had impressed him. After class, Tara found her best friend Jasmine at their usual spot under the oak tree. Together, they sketched out ideas for the project. But Tara's vision went beyond a classroom presentation. She wanted something that reached more people. Something with sound, voices, and real conversations. "A podcast," she whispered as if admitting it aloud made it more real. Jasmine's eyes lit up. "Let's do it," she said, already, pulling out her phone to jot down ideas. That weekend, they recorded their first episode in Tara's living room. Elaine set up a makeshift table with snacks, pretzels, fruit, and iced tea, while Tara and Jasmine arranged the microphones. The topic: finding your voice as a transracial adoptee. Tara spoke softly at first, sharing how Elaine's presence had shaped her sense of safety. Jasmine asked questions, guiding Tara through memories. "What did it feel like when you realized not all kids had someone like Elaine?" As Tara recounted moments at the clinic and the pride she felt when she said Mom in front of her classmates, her voice grew steadier. Elaine hovered nearby, reading a book, but occasionally, glancing up with a supportive smile. She didn't interject, she simply offered a nod. Later, Tara asked Elaine if she could listen. Elaine pressed play, and her eyes filled with tears as she heard Tara describe how every doctor's appointment and random check-in had been an act of love. After the recording, Elaine hugged Tara, whispering, "I'm proud of you for sharing your story." With each new episode, their podcast gained traction. Classmates whispered about it in the hallways, and teachers commended their bravery. One episode tackled microaggressions in school. Tara invited a friend to discuss times she felt out of place in a predominantly white neighborhood. Another episode explored identity with a local community leader who had been adopted as a child. Listeners left comments asking how they could support adoptees in their schools or advocating for better cultural education. By mid-year, Tara's confidence soared. She volunteered to speak at a school assembly about diversity and inclusion, using insights from her podcast. As she stood at the podium, she scanned the audience. Jasmine sitting proudly in the front row, Elaine beside Principal Rodriguez, and countless peers listening intently. Tara took a deep breath. She thought back to the hesitant 8-year-old, who barely spoke, and now, here she was, commanding the space, unafraid to share truth. As she wrapped up, Tara concluded, "Our stories matter. Finding your voice isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about speaking when it counts." Applause filled the auditorium, and Tara grinned, knowing that her journey from silence to empowerment was only beginning. Tara's heartbeat thudded in her ears as she pushed herself down the final stretch of the track, trying to ignore the dizziness that had been creeping up since the start of practice. The crisp spring air filled her lungs, but something felt wrong. Her vision blurred and her legs wobbled. Before she could slow down, the world tilted, and she collapsed onto the grass, gasping for breath. Teammates rushed toward her, panic evident in their eyes. Within moments, Elaine was by her side, kneeling on the track, wiping Tara's damp hair away from her forehead and whispering, "I've got you." At the emergency room, Elaine carried Tara into a small consultation room. Tara's vision swam, in shades of white and pale green. Elaine held her hand as a nurse took her vital signs. The room felt cold, but Elaine's presence radiated warmth. Tara's chest heaved as she tried to explain how she'd felt lightheaded for weeks. Occasional chest pains, unexplained fatigue, and now this collapse. Elaine answered for her when necessary, recounting how Tara had complained of joint pain during morning runs, and how her color had seemed off to Elaine's watchful eyes. Within minutes, a doctor arrived, a tall woman with kind eyes who introduced herself as Dr. Ali. She listened carefully as Elaine described Tara's symptoms and ran through a rapid series of questions. When did these episodes start? Have you experienced any swelling or rashes? Any family history of autoimmune disease? Tara tried to respond, but her voice cracked. Elaine squeezed her hand, urging her to keep going. Dr. Ali nodded, then ordered blood tests. An echocardiogram and a few other scans, suspecting an underlying condition affecting Tara's heart or immune system. Tara lay on the hospital bed, eyes closed as machines whirred around her. Elaine sat in the chair beside her, scrolling through health records on her phone, cross-referencing medication interactions, and preparing a short list of questions for the doctor. Tara listened half-heartedly to Elaine's soft humming, a tune they'd shared since Tara was old enough to hum along. In that moment, the fear of what they might discover intertwined with gratitude for having someone who refused to leave her side. After hours of tests, Dr. Ali entered the room with a solemn expression. "Tara," she began gently, "we believe you have an autoimmune condition called lupus, which explains your symptoms and the collapse." Elaine's eyes glistened, but she nodded, determination flashing in her gaze. Tara felt a lump in her throat as the doctor explained the treatment plan: immunosuppressants, regular monitoring, and lifestyle adjustments. Elaine leaned forward, absorbing every detail, asking about potential side effects and clarifying follow-up schedules. Tara realized Elaine was not only her caretaker, but also her advocate, ready to challenge any uncertainty. Over the next few weeks, Tara's life revolved around appointments. blood draws at dawn, infusions at the clinic, and consultations with specialists. Each time, Elaine arrived early, armed with healthy snacks tailored for Tara's dietary needs and a detailed list of questions to ask the doctors. During a particularly draining infusion, Tara lay back in the recliner, eyes closed, beads of cold sweat forming on her forehead. Elaine sat beside her, adjusting the blanket around Tara's shoulders and whispering encouragement. "You're stronger than you think." One afternoon, while waiting for lab results, Tara scrolled through social media and stumbled upon a post about a support group for teens living with chronic illness. She tapped Elaine's arm, showing her the screen. Elaine smiled and said, "Let's join them." From then on, Tara started attending online meetings, sharing her story, and connecting with others who understood the fear and frustration of a diagnosis. Elaine cheered her on, helping Tara write questions for the group's discussion and celebrating small victories like stable lab results or tolerable side effects. Through it all, Tara learned that living with lupus would be challenging, but she wasn't alone. Elaine's unwavering support during every doctor visit, every trembling moment, and every tearful night became the anchor she needed. Tara understood that love was not just a word. It was Elaine's quiet refusal to let her face illness alone. In those sterile hospital rooms and buzzing clinics, Tara discovered her own resilience, bolstered by a mother figure who showed up without hesitation, ready to fight for her at every turn. Tara sat on the wooden stool under the bright lights of the local Community Access Channel studio, her palms pressed flat against her knees. The interviewer, a calm woman with a friendly smile, leaned forward and adjusted her microphone. Tara took a deep breath, recalling the countless times Elaine had sat beside her in waiting rooms. As soon as the cameras started rolling, Tara relaxed into a steady rhythm. "Tara," the interviewer began gently, "you've been talked about online for your recent comment about your mom. Can you tell us what happened?" Tara nodded, eyes fixed on a point just beyond the camera. "It started at a school panel about family and identity," she explained. "One of the questions was, what makes someone a parent?" Without thinking, I said, "She took me to every doctor visit, every single one. And then I added, that's what moms are supposed to do." She paused, remembering the hush that fell over the auditorium. "Someone recorded it, posted it online, and it just blew up." The interviewer leaned in. "What went through your mind when you realized it was viral?" Tara traced a pattern on the stool's surface. "At first, I was anxious, worried people would misinterpret me. Some comments were mean. They said I was ungrateful or that I didn't understand sacrifice." She shook her head slowly. "But then I started seeing messages of support. Adoptees who said they felt seen, foster kids who wished someone had advocated for them that way, and other moms who said they do the same thing, even without the internet knowing." The interviewer nodded and shifted to the next question. "How did Elaine react?" Tara's lips curved into a small smile. "Elaine watched the clips with me. When the insults popped up, she stayed calm. She reminded me that truth can be messy. When the support messages arrived, stories of kids finding strength because of our video, we cried together. She said, 'Your voice matters, and so does our story.'" Tara exhaled, her voice softening. "It was a lesson in facing criticism without forgetting why we speak." As the interview continued, Tara described how the viral moment changed her life. She'd been invited to speak at a regional youth conference about family bonds and mental health. Local newspapers reached out for feature articles. One social media influencer even asked to host a live-stream conversation with Tara about transracial adoption. Tara admitted she felt nervous but also determined. "I want people to understand that showing up is a simple act with profound impact," she said. The interviewer guided Tara toward the closing segment. "What do you hope viewers take away from your story?" Tara rested her chin on her palm, gazing at the blinking light that signaled the recording was almost over. "I hope they see that love isn't always measured by grand gestures or dramatic speeches. Sometimes it's in every single drive to the doctor, in the willingness to sit through long waiting rooms, in the quiet sacrifices no one records. If everyone did a little more of that, showing up without condition, the world would be kinder. The lights dimmed, and the director signaled that they had finished. Tara exhaled, the tension leaving her shoulders. As she stepped off the stage, her phone buzzed with notifications. Elaine was waiting in the lobby, arms open. Tara walked toward her, and they embraced tightly. In that hug, Tara felt the weight of every viral view transform into something tender, the promise that, whatever came next, her story would remain, rooted in the unshakable bond with the woman who took her to each doctor's visit, because that's what moms do. Tara stood at the edge of the school's auditorium stage, her gown feeling heavier than she expected. The assembled graduates sat in neat rows, caps tipped forward, faces bright with relief and anticipation. The crowd beyond the stage, parents, siblings, friends, filled every chair. Tara glanced at Elaine in the front row, eyes glistening with pride. Elaine's gentle smile reminded Tara of every drive to the clinic, every waiting room, every whispered reassurance in the dark. It was time to share one last truth in this chapter of her life. The principal introduced Tara as the student speaker who best represented resilience and compassion. As Tara stepped up to the microphone, a hush fell over the auditorium. She took a breath and looked at the sea of faces, feeling her heart thump in her chest. She thought of the little girl who once tiptoed into Elaine's home, uncertain of belonging. And now, here she was, ready to give her graduation address in front of hundreds, voice steady and clear. "Good afternoon," Tara began, keeping her gaze on the audience. "Today marks a milestone not just for me, but for many of us who learned what it means to persevere. For me, perseverance meant trusting someone to show up every single time life got scary." Tara paused, glancing toward Elaine. "As many of you know, whenever I was sick or anxious, my mom, Elaine, was there. She drove me to every doctor's visit, sat with me in waiting rooms, and held my hand even when the world felt uncertain. Some people might think it was simple, but to me, it was everything." She watched as Elaine's chest rose and fell, and she felt the audience lean in. Over the years, people asked why my mom never missed an appointment. Some assumed it was overprotectiveness. Others whispered that it was too much. But what they didn't see was how each drive built trust and how every moment in that waiting room taught me about love. Quiet, steadfast love that doesn't need validation. Tara shifted on her feet, pressing her palms against the wooden podium. As we move forward from this stage, we will each face challenges, academic pressures, personal struggles, or moments when we feel uncertain. I want you to remember that support matters. Whether it's a family member, a friend, a teacher, or even a mentor you haven't met yet, someone showing up can change everything. Sometimes the simple act of presence carries more weight than grand gestures. She scanned the graduates' faces, imagining their individual stories. So today, as we celebrate our achievements, let's also commit to being present for others. Let us champion each other's victories and stand by each other in tough times. By doing this, we build a community that thrives on compassion and understanding. Tara took a final breath, voice steady. "Thank you, Elaine, for being my constant. Thank you to my teachers who believed in me, and thank you to my friends for reminding me that I was never alone. Graduates, let's step into the future knowing that showing up, being there for someone, can be revolutionary." She smiled. As applause filled the auditorium, the sound echoing like a promise. As Tara walked off the stage, Elaine waited with open arms. Tara sank into Elaine's embrace, feeling the weight of years of love and dedication press gently against her. In that moment, Tara knew that though this chapter was ending, the bond they shared would endure. And as they stepped into the sunlight, outside the auditorium, Tara felt ready to face whatever came next, knowing that some acts of love, no matter how small, could shape an entire life.